Now that is why that young man has just been signed by Toyota.
Would you have done that?
Of course.
Good answer.
And I think that means, and can I have your seat at Rebellion, please? It is brand new experience for you every time you put a lap in this P2 car. Give us an impression of the step up from that championship winning season in the P3 last year with RLR.
It's a bit faster.
A bit faster.
Yeah, just a bit.
Just a little.
No, the P2 is a great racing car, probably the best car I've ever driven. You know, Orica built, no, I have to say, Arus built a superb car for us this season, and looks like they got a little bit of that comfortable from their limousine, Senna, big Rolls Royce.
You've got the kind of the full airline seating there.
Yeah.
Tail cabinets.
Here's another look at it. Ooh, they even touched.
Wowza.
There's even a side-to-side contact there.
That's not a place you'd expect to see a pass, is it? I just wonder whether or not there was a bit of a slippy slide before we saw them side to side. Clearly Thomas Laurent was looking, and he's pulling away quite convincingly immediately. Cracking stuff.
Yeah, he's some good pace in the Rebellion car.
I take it you're quite pleased with your switch to sports car racing in the last couple of seasons. We've seldom seen you with anything other than that trademark smile.
No, it's been good to me, sports cars racing. Yeah, been there in the good teams up till now and winning races, and I guess that's what keeps you motivated.
I'm sure lots more to come, but I'm going to get you to do the thing that everybody asks you, which is
another one.
Yeah,
outside.
You need to tell us exactly how name is pronounced.
A Dutch way or English way?
I don't really mind. There's two different ways.
How about the American way?
You guys would say, "Oh, yeah, fine,
That's kind of what I have been saying.
No, in Holland we say, okay, you're going to laugh now. It's Job van Uitert.
Job
van Uitert. That's okay.
Uitert.
Uitert. That's fine. That's easy.
But Job van Uitert sounds better.
Job van Uitert.
Yeah,
and you remember the advice I gave you some time ago? Every time someone asks, say something different. That way they're all right. Yep. Have a great race. You've clearly enjoyed the first. We've thoroughly enjoyed watching you.
Thank you very much.
Going to the front of that race. Do come back and tell us a little bit about your adventures at night once you've had some rest.
I will, of course. Have a great race, everybody. Enjoy it. And,
Thank you.
You've got good commentators here.
Thank you.
So on the racetrack, it continues to be just a cracking battle in GTE Pro. I know you're going to be tired of me saying that by 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, but I don't foresee it changing. Yeah, sorry, just being honest here. Now Nick Tandy has joined the fray. He's moved up into 4th position ahead of Henry Tinknell in the number 67 car, which we just saw on the screen moments ago. So you've got Porsche, Ferrari, Corvette, Porsche, and Ford as your top 5.
Just trying to work out how what's happened here. We've got a replay under the yellow flag. Oh, dear me!
Oh, no!
Oh, how did that happen? Oh, dear, oh, dear. Oh.
That is the Rebellion number 3, Thomas Laurent.
Oh, that's terrible luck for Laurent.
I was just going to ask you what you thought of that side-by-side pass.
And the behind the ahead of the stricken Rebellion, we've got the SMP racing car carrying much of the missing bodywork on the front of that car too. So, oh dear me. Hugh Deschonak there gets out of the way. His tyres are made ready, but it's going to be more than just tyres from the number 3 car.
That snapped.
I think that's
drivetrain.
I think that's damp. I think it was damp there, yeah. And on going back to the pass, I thought the pass was fantastic. Let's not forget those two cars are in exactly the same class, and to do that manoeuvre, it's a passing place for LMP1 on LMP2 or P2 to GT, but to do it with the same type of car is quite impressive. Very high speed.
And good job from both drivers.
Yes.
Because neither of them made a mistake.
Yes. Of course, yellow will be coming out now.
We've got the Ford.
Yeah, that's one of the Fords that's slow as well.
That's, I think, just because it's full course yellow.
Yeah, okay, yep, thank you.
So that came out just 10 seconds ago. There'll clearly be a lot of debris around in that braking area.
That was for the second chicane.
So, I mean, actually, just spooling back, and there's a heck of a lot of debris there. Spooling back to the conversation we had about why a safety car. There is plenty of sighting there.
Yes.
That instant sight. So whilst you have got track workers, if you like, in line of fire, there's a long way to see whether or not there's anybody in trouble. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's going to be a new rear deck and front deck, and maybe more damage.
Yeah,
but if there's no suspension damage, this will not take that long. Let's keep a look. It's 17:53 to go, and is that the one that had?
That's the 11 car that had the bodywork on the front. They've just changed the nose section on that car as well. The 3 car is clearly going into the garage. Come what may, they'll have to give this car a very thorough check. Looks like the rear end is in reasonably good nick.
No, but I think it hit, didn't it? You know, it could just be a nose change. Like we always see, it's the mounting points.
That'd be lucky. Yes, exactly.
It's the mounting points and the electrics can get damaged.
Hijacks are coming out straight away. Bits falling off the front, bits trailing from the front. And there's urgency about the work, which is the good news. Let's see it again. Twitches just tiny twitch to the left and then snaps right. There you go. Bang.
Yep.
And a big impact.
He hit the brakes, locked the rears, which gave him the snap to the left.
But it was just the front of the car that hit, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yes,
just
the rear's
swiped
okay.
the floppy. The rear is okay. So, and the Duquesne car lucky to get away with that one. And then, obviously, the SMP car caught a mouthful, effectively, of Rebellion bodywork. Nasty, nasty moment. And that's what...
I'm on TV.
Yeah, I'm really impressed. Yeah, yeah, I think you need to go and get a cup of coffee. It's, yeah, another horrible moment, but Thomas Laurent was able to bring the car back, and we'll soon see whether or not that is the work of, well, bodywork and more, or something rather more serious for the number 3 Rebellion.
So I don't really get the difference now. We've got marshals on the track, a full course yellow.
Yep.
And before we had marshals on the track and a safety car.
But you can see, they can see for a long, long way whether or not people are observing that full course yellow.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not coming into a yellow flag area unsighted.
Here we go. We're going to just put a new... The suspension's obviously okay because the wheels are going on, so that's a good sign. And if this bodywork just slots straight on, he'll be underway.
There are moments
Wow,
when
this is awesome.
I am speechless about the strength of modern sports cars, and that if that car gets out after that with just... That's quite astonishing.
He would have lost what, a minute?
And you know,
and they're all going 80k. So actually, the loss
he's not
is
lost that much.
No.
He's not to lose a lap.
Let's check in with Duncan Vincent.
Johnny Adam, with the world's media is next door at Rebellion after what just happened to them. You've just stepped out the car though, so how was your stint?
Tricky at the end there with the weather, to be fair. There was a lot of moisture in the air, especially Arnage and Indianapolis. The last 2 laps, there was quite a lot of moisture on the surface, but yeah, it was okay. I mean, I had a good little dice with my teammate Darren, so we kept each other company out there. But yeah, I mean, so far it's been okay for us. We're just running to our strategy, doing as much as we can. Pit stops seem okay, so just have to let it run and see how we unfold.
Darren was quite happy that you were ahead of him when it was wet. He said you were his marker.
I mean, he's guinea pig sometimes, really, yeah. So, you know, it's like in those conditions when you're kind of the first to go through, it's always easier to follow. But, yeah, it was good fun. You know, there wasn't a lot between both cars, so we had good fun out there.
Yeah, if you're following a plan, it seems to be going pretty well so far. You know, the GTE class is so competitive. We've just seen the 64 car drop out, one of your rivals. You know, throughout the course of the night, is there anything going to change, or is it just going to, you're going to stick to your plan?
Stick to our plan, stick to our rhythm as well. No mistakes, mistake-free. And if we can get to 10 o'clock tomorrow morning and see where we unfold, that's our strategy pretty much. So, yeah.
The transformation that this car has made is huge. You know, last year it finished the race, but it wasn't as quick. It was 5 seconds faster in qualifying. This year, it's been a great bit of development.
Huge. I mean, the guys Pro Drive and Aston Martin Racing have done a great job. I mean, we've really delved into the detail of this car over 12 months, and you could see it's won 2 races in its debut season in WEC, but turning up here and going that much quicker is just testament to how much we've put in on the data front and on the chassis front as well to really work this Michelin and try and get a lap time out of the car.
Johnny Adam, 2017 Le Mans champion, thank you.
Thank you very much, thank you.
Safety car scrambled whilst we're listening to Johnny Adam. So we're back to a safety car situation again. So all 3, A, B and C, on track. 3rd in very short order indeed, safety car.
After the last safety car, we saw this 8 car that we're on board with now in the same queue as the 7 car, and they were 7 seconds apart.
Yeah.
We've had what, half an hour of green flag racing, and the 7 car, which is on its outlap now, the 8 car fell back to 40 seconds behind.
Yes.
And what all that was he had to overtake the whole queue of the safety car line.
Absolutely.
And that's amazing how much time he lost.
So
Turn my mic on, it works a little bit.
So safety cars on track, as we say, it is 6 hours and 13 minutes now gone in this race. And it's been incident after incident in the last hour or so. This, well,
Yellows breed yellows.
Absolutely, pretty terrifying shunt for Marcel Fessler. The 88 car, by the way, is back in the pits after being fixed a little earlier. We then had the issue for Thomas Laurent, which astonishingly the car turned around quickly, and Thomas Laurent is back out into the race.
Quickly, 3 minutes and 38 seconds. That's almost Audi-esque from back in the day.
Absolutely.
And let's not forget, into that second chicane on the Mulsanne, that car's going close to 200 miles an hour, and he turned sharp right into our wall.
Oh, yeah.
So he's hit, probably the contact speed is what, 150, 120,
something like that. It was a horrible
3
shunt.
minutes later, it's not quite like your quick fit, is it?
Well, you know what, the FIA got a lot of criticism in motorsport these days, but you have to say there's nothing wrong with the
FIA has always gotten a lot. I mean, I'm not being. They're an easy punching bag.
But
no matter what they do, somebody's going to like it, somebody's going to hate it. So.
But the safety standards.
Oh yeah.
The safety standards in that
complain.
car. That is phenomenal.
That's exactly right.
Nose to tail.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
Pit lane is open. This is our second or third safety car. Let's go down to Duncan, who's got Bart Hayden.
Bart Hayden, I don't know where to start. First of all, what was the damage on the car?
I think we got away quite lightly, actually. He seemed to hit it at the perfect angle, so it's damaged the nose. Managed to get it back, put a new nose on the car. We had to stay in the pits for a minimum of 3 minutes anyway, because that's the rule under full course yellow. So we decided to bring it into the box rather than fix it out in the pit lane, just so we could give it a bit more of a thorough check around. In the end, actually, we did it in 3:38, so that's not too bad. And he's reporting now it seems okay. So,
do we know why it snapped?
Yeah, it was really wet and slippery down there. He just lost it on the brakes.
Apart from that, though, the car feels good to report back.
That's what he's saying at the minute. Let's wait until he gets up to pace.
Okay, one of these times we're going to come and have a good interview, you know.
Yeah, well, let's hope it's today.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Cheers.
So, Bart Hayden,
always gracious. Bart and
always gives you great answers.
Bart is his father's son, and you know, Hugh before him was always the go-to guy in the paddock, and that's what I'd expect of someone with the heritage of Bart and the experience of Bart Hayden, to be straightforward, but also he's ready to respond if indeed, when that car gets back up to speed, that something is quite right. So let's keep an eye on that one.
Hopefully we'll be able to stay green for a while once we get back racing, and poor Duncan can get a drink of water or something. He's been running up and down pit lane.
Of course, what you have seen on the pictures is a dramatic compression of the lead. The 8s now.
They
changed.
They swapped, yeah.
In the pits.
Okay.
So it is Nakajima now leading in the 8 car, but just ahead, nose to tail in this safety car chain, ahead of the sister car.
Heading towards 9:16 at night with 17 3/4 hours to go. We'll go back to the 8 car saying the nighttime might be better.
Yeah.
We're getting to those times where the nighttime is starting to come, and maybe there's a shift in performance from one car to the other.
The safety car taketh away, and sometimes the safety car giveth back.
Absolutely.
Look at GTE Pro now. It was split in half.
And
now it's all one battle. 13 seconds separating the top 9 cars.
The other thing to say is that Thomas Laurent did not lose a lap in that, because of the initial full course yellow, followed by the safety car, did not lose a lap. The other quick piece of information is that effectively now we're back to dry running, and the cars, you will not see the rain lights on all the cars from this point forward. Should be a relief to some of them, because that blink, blink, blink.
Oh, geez.
Ford.
Was an epileptic seizure.
In the GTM battle, well, there isn't a battle, because the privateer Ford of Jerome Pelika-Molen has a 3-minute lead, which is...
Part of that's probably because he's in the right safety car.
Yes.
This is
but a fantastic performance by that crew. The racing has been so great in LMP2 and GT Pro. We haven't really talked much about the AM category, and the Keating boys, they're doing a great job. First in class ahead of the JMW Motorsport, Jeff Siegel. Then the TF Sport, Aston Martin has now climbed back into 3rd position.
Absolutely.
So that's absolutely fantastic performance on a comeback drive for that crew. And then the Dempsey Proton, Christian Reed, the leaders in the category for the championship, are 4th overall. And then the Team Project 1 car, the number 56 York Bergmeister, rounds out the top 5. So it's a Ferrari, Ford, Aston Martin and Porsche all in the top 5.
Safety cars will be in this lap. And by the way, again, because I know there'll be questions, why did it go to safety car when we'd had full course yellow? Because the heavy machinery is on track to repair the barrier. Yeah. That's why.
Interesting, lap 4. Mike Conway set the fastest lap of the race so far, 3 minutes 17.29. We haven't seen anyone get close to that.
Nowhere close, no.
Perhaps it will come later on.
Well, with a partially damp track, that's going to make it a little bit slower. Zone 4 will be a slow zone after the safety car comes in.
This will be really interesting now when this goes green, when they get to their point, which they're coming up to now. When these cars get out of Arnage, the safety car will pull off to the right. Its lights are off, and we've got a fight with the 2 leaders, and will be very interesting to see if Nakajima can hold on to the lead from Lopez.
We're about to find out whether or not that pace is still in the 7 car, that's for sure. Away goes the safety car, and away go the Toyotas, blasting out of Arnage corner by the Ford. Headed that little queue, and the 8 has got the jump. Nakajima ahead of Lopez. A bit of weaving to warm the tyres before they get to the undeniable challenge that is the Porsche curves.
Especially with
carbon brakes
and cold tyre pressures at the moment, so the air of caution. What's nice for them, though, is they've got clear track.
Absolutely, we could see some remarkably quick running. They should get at least one. I'd have thought, where are we? May not get even one full clear lap, remarkably.
Well, and then they got a slow zone at the first chicane, so.
Yes, indeed.
Yep. And this is to help finish repairs on the damage that's off driver's right at the entrance to the second chicane. And I think that is a great use of the safety car, the full course yellow, the safety car in the slow zone, because instead of just keeping everybody under the safety car until all the work was done, they get the major work done and a little finishing up in a slow zone.
We've seen some really smart use of this suite of safety procedures that race directors have got. Well, the one that particularly rings bells with me is what happened in the very wet race we had last year, but this season in the WC at Fuji, where we had repeated safety cars. But what would happen as the race went back to green flag running, a lot of freighters were put in a slow zone through the tricky first sector, which meant that cars were restricted in speed. This is through the slow zone, of course, restricted in speed at the point where there was the most likelihood of an incident. Just gave them the opportunity for a bit of a breather before we got down to the full speed running in those very tricky conditions. And we've seen that throughout this season. Really adverse weather there at Spa. And at Spa, let's not forget, one of only 3 WC races ever that every car that started the race finished the race. Amazing. Yeah. And what, by the way, one of the other 2 was the race that never was at Fuji, when we only got, what, just over a dozen laps, all of them behind the safety car. So realistically, 2 races where it's happened.
Interesting. You see the different approaches there and gear and whatnot. Wow, there's still heavy equipment out there.
Wow.
That does surprise me that they've... I guess what they've done is they've sighted it now. They've had one pass at it, haven't they?
Yep.
That's what they've done. So in other words, yeah, this is why we're asking you to slow down. To slow the heck down.
Where's the green?
After the shortly, right here at this line.
This line, yeah.
Yep. And
yeah, interesting. The Dragon Speed and the Jack and Chan, they were showing the speed, which they were both doing 80. One car adopting first gear at about 5,000 revs, and the other one in third gear at 3,000 revs. Different philosophies, although same engine.
Oh,
that's a very good point.
Gearing different?
You'd have thought not. You'd have thought not for here. Not that radically different.
No. I guess if you've got a low battery or something like that, you'd run higher revs. Yeah, I would tend to be in the lower revs, but each to their own. That's
the battle for third place that we're seeing moments ago in LMP2 with the Bicolis cars, the meat and that sandwich. Now we're seeing the battle for third in GTE Pro. Antonio Garcia in the Corvette number 63 and the 93 of Nick Tandy. These guys are used to racing each other in the IMSA WeatherTech Championship. This is just an away game.
But not lacked excitement, has it, of all sorts of manners, with some fantastic clean racing.
And coming up behind them is Jimmy Bruni in the number 91 car. Another of the Porsches. So Tandy's going to have his mirrors full of Bruni here shortly. And Henry Tinknell wants to come and play as well. He's only 6/10 behind Bruni. This could quickly become a 4 or 5 car battle. Let's go down to the pit lane with Duncan Vincent.
First of all, high fives all round in the garage here. High fives, everything went well with that repair. Unfortunately, Patrick, you had to do the repair though. What was the extent of the damage?
I think we're still assessing everything right now. The guys did a fantastic job. I mean, they've been on it, and we're only 6.5 hours into this race, but they're handling everything very well. So we'll see. You know, this is Le Mans, and this is the test that we have in front of us tonight.
Very unfortunate accident to get caught up on. What did the driver say?
I haven't spoken to him yet. I think he's very upset by it. First time here. It's a big effort to be here. There's a lot going on, a lot of pressure, a lot of traffic, and things happen very quickly. It's unfortunate that it's gone this way. 77 car is still very strong. We're still in the hunt. Take care of the guys, and we'll keep at it.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Good luck.
Thanks, man. Have a good one. We'll talk soon. Yeah.
That was Patrick Dempsey with Duncan Vincent. He's the man behind Dempsey Proton Racing. 4 cars entered here. Now down to 2.5, probably, because the 99 car was withdrawn before the race. Now the 88 is still they're still working on. So that leaves the 77 and the 78.
Makes good news, though, isn't it, as Dempsey Proton Racing's status as a top Porsche customer. Plenty of parts being sold.
Yeah. Sergei Sorokin in the SMP number 17 makes a call to the pits.
From third position, the number 17 car, and it's been a solid run so far for both of the SMP racing cars. Of all of the privateer efforts in what's been a quick fire season of development for the non-hybrid cars, it's the SMP BR1 AER that, for my money, has made the most progress. They've looked solid. They've not looked as wild a ride as we saw them earlier in the season, and they've been quick. They've been properly quick.
As we talk about 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th in the GTE Pro battle, Garcia, Tandy, Bruni, and Tinknell nose to tail, and right in front of them, of course, is Alessandro Pierguidi in the AF Corsa number 51.
And he's just got Kevin Estre a second or so ahead of him. So it is just, it's another
epic.
It's an epic traffic jam. This, you know, if the traffic jam was like this on the way to work in the morning, you wouldn't complain much, would you? Really? fantastic stuff from the flag, the green flag onwards. It's been an amazing GTE Pro race so far, and it just keeps giving. Meanwhile, not that much excitement there, was there?
Was that Roman Rusinov?
Do you think they're watching the
Meanwhile,
other
on
race?
Computer Central.
That's another thing. We used to we call the Pratt perch because the Pratts sit on it. But in my day, the Pratts used to sit on a Pratt perch on the pit wall.
Yep.
And
Now they're in a locked room.
Even Alan's day, actually.
I cannot believe for a single second you had the courage to call Lawrence Pierce a Pratt.
Oh, quite often, actually. and Smithy, who used to look after Rebellion for many years as well. Now, I mean, I was with Aston Martin yesterday. Obviously, I drove for them in 2013. And now they've got a cabin, air-conditioned, full cabin, a room for the drivers at the back of the pit garage, and then a full-on room, 20 engineers sat there. There's 4 desks, three cars they're running, plus then the strategy guys. They're not, they shut the doors, they can't hear anything outside. They're a bit like us in a booth, you know, and they are running it from there. Why? Less noise, less distraction. They can focus on their job much quieter in there, nice air conditioning, etc. Yeah, amazing how different it's got.
Let's have another Scottish moment down in the pit lane.
Yeah, Scott's corner there in the pit lane here. Paul di Resta, you've been in the car, but your teammates now got 3 stints to go. I come walking past the garage and you're lounging about looking nice and relaxed there.
Well, you got to lounge about, you got to save some energy. I won't be sleeping before I get back in, so it was quite a tricky little bit there, a lot of safety cars. There's obviously a repair going on to a barrier, so a good slow zone going on for a long time, and combine that with a little bit of rain. But at the same time, we're still P5 in class at the moment, you know, nearly 6 hours in. You keep going. I think at outright speed we're struggling, so it needs to be a clinical race to make something work.
Are you looking forward to having a good night's stint?
I wouldn't say it's going to be a night sleep. If I pick up a few hours here and there, I'll be quite happy, but that's what you sign up for, isn't it? Running around here in the dark. The next time I get in, it's going to be pitch black. And this is quite a tricky little place. And like I say, when you're a bit down in pace, you need to be pushing. But at the same time, it's risk reward, isn't it, all the way to the very end of this one. And you know, it's going to be quite a cold night as well. Contend that with the safety cars, you know, in the tyre warm up. They're quite tricky little machines to get around.
So where is the missing pace? I mean, what fuel's wrong?
I don't really know. It seems to be that Orica are very strong. They seem to be very sorted in this track. You know, this is a kind of like a two-make class. There's a few Leisias, a few Oricas, but you know, there's some good drivers in there, guys that have done P1 in the past. Equally, a lot of platinum grade drivers doing P2 this year. So when the car's working well, you can't expect any less. At the same point, you know, if we get to a point in the race where hopefully our balance comes back into it, I think we are a little bit out of balance. That's probably where a bit of the lap time is. But you know, when the colder conditions come, that's when you can fight on. And I think we're expecting some cloud cover tomorrow morning, which again won't let the track lift too much. So, you know, you've got to take a punt in some set-up direction, and I think we've done it.
Rest up, mate. Have a good stint. Cheers.
Paul di Resta with Duncan Vincent, Martin Haven, Jamie Campbell-Walter and Graham Goodwin in the booth. Duncan down in the pit lane, fresh and ready to go again after dinner time. And in the hour since I was last on the microphone, we've had 2 safety cars. Jamie Campbell-Walter, particularly when conditions are a teeny bit marginal, as they are with that little bit of drizzle, and the temperature is going out to the track and behind the safety car out to the tyres. The next restart is going to be equally as critical as the last one, is it?
Yeah, well, we quite often see a safety car produces a safety car. And it, as Paul was just discussing there, or mentioning, that the tyre pressures and getting the tyre into the window, the operating temperature, is difficult. And you've got 9:30 at night now. The temperature is definitely dropping. The sun's going down, and it's difficult. The drivers do have different compound of tyres, ones that work in the colder weather and the hotter weather, but it's still never easy. That you want nice clean running, because what heats up these tyres is load, and the load is produced at speed, and it's not produced behind a safety car.
It's an interesting part of that story that applies particularly to the LMP1 class, and it's a change that may still come for the coming season, for the 2019-20 season from September, late August, September at Silverstone, because the non-hybrid cars run effectively the same compounds and construction as run on the hybrids. Now that's a problem for them, because they can't get the same temperature into the front tyres as you can with a powered front axle. So there is a development, Michelin. I've been along at tests, seeing that put through its paces. That does make a big difference. What that is designed to do is to allow the temperature to get into the tyres at a far lower temperatures than the current spec.
Well, let's get back to Duncan in the pits. He's caught up with GT driver Matteo Cairoli.
Yeah, he's just coming a quick one with an injury just now. Matteo, first of all, can you give us the news, please?
Actually, I mean, the car was almost okay. Not 100% safe to drive, so, I mean, safety first. I mean, Oshino now is really scared, I would say, so he's probably not gonna take part again in the car. I mean, it doesn't want to drive again. So, unfortunately, we need to retire. And, you know, it's a big shame for the team because, I mean, we've done quite a good job over the weekend, and I mean, the luck was not on our side, but also, I mean, unfortunately, we've done too many mistakes. So, I mean, this is the only things we can do for today.
It's a massive effort to get here, just to be on track, isn't it? I mean, the emotions right now, I can see they're quite high.
I mean, the guys did always an amazing job. I mean, to repair the car, they've been so quick and performing so well. But I mean, as I said to you before, I mean, safety first, and today we were not on that side.
Thank you very much, thank you. There you go, guys, that's 88. You're parked for the day, unfortunately.
That's bad news. You could hear the emotion in his voice there. Matteo Cairoli, he will have his day here without a shadow of a doubt.
Now, a few years ago, very few years ago, the fact that one of the drivers didn't want to or couldn't drive wouldn't have been an issue. But now in the Pro-Am GTE-Am class, there is a minimum time that the bronze-rated driver must drive for the car to be classified as a finisher. And Satoshi Hoshino has not done that time behind the wheel, Graham. So as a result, even though the car might be all right and the other two drivers might be healthy, what are they going to do? Drive for another 20 hours and then park it because he's 4 hours short on his allocation? That's too much risk and makes no sense whatsoever. But it is unfortunate.
Yeah, it is very unfortunate. We've also remains to be seen what the decision on race control was going to be as to any penalty for the incident with Marcel Fessler's Corvette, and there are a range of possibilities that could have come his way on that one. I'm not going to presume what they might have been at this stage. Cars 22 and 37, by the way, will be getting drive-through penalties for overtaking under the safety car procedure. Wow. That is Felipe Albuquerque and Ricky Taylor, who are currently lying 5th and 6th in LMP2.
Wow.
That's two pros that should know better.
That's kicking that battle in the teeth, isn't it? They're 0.6 of a second apart, so they'll be 0.6 of a second apart coming into the pit lane, but they'll drop behind Tristan Gondomar, the erstwhile pole sitter for Graf, and probably behind TDS Racing's Francois Perraudot.
I don't think they will, because he's almost 2 minutes behind them, so they'll just mean they drop further back into his clutches. But it's been topsy-turvy stuff. We're now possessed by talking about the incidents, but still through all of this, look at this.
I know.
You know, our bag of ferrets at 200 miles an hour still carries on, scrapping away like, you know, 4 sisters in a kitchen at a family gathering. I know this from bitter experience, but 5 sisters. But it's an amazing race in GTE Pro. Quite staggering race in GTE Pro. We've seen wheel-to-wheel battles. We've seen them go on for 1 stint, 2 stints. This has now been 6.5 hours.
Yeah,
incredible.
It's fantastic, and they are still tied together by the shortest piece of string you can imagine. And when the first of the last couple of safety cars closed the field up, we had the top 11 cars covered by less than 10 seconds when they were released, and they have not strung out that much further either, have they?
9.3 seconds for the top 9 at the moment.
Yeah.
And some of that just broken up with just some of them being in pit stop territory right now. Doesn't look like ending anytime soon.
And 5 different manufacturers.
Yes.
You've got to say the BMWs and the Astons seem to have been delivered, given a raw deal on the BOP perhaps, because they're just not in the fight, are they?
Aston look competitive in qualifying, and then suddenly in the race, change of BOP, and they're way out of it. Now, it may be tyres, it may be temperature, it may be conditions, there may be other factors in it, except that, you know, but the balance of power was changed overnight before the race to stop maybe Aston running away with it. Their big hope is that they get substantial wet weather running, because we've seen in the wet WEC races this year that's where the car's won its only race.
Yep.
And that's where they may have a better chance, perhaps.
Just Paolo Roberti popping into the pits, and the number 4 by Collis. It's made its way through the GT Anfield on a recovery drive. Does not seem to be getting much further than that. The other thing to say about GT Pro before Jimmy Campbell-Walter pops in once again is that we've got 2 groups here. We've got the group that is 1 to 9, and then, okay, albeit aided a little bit by the caution periods, we've got another group from the number 94 car, the 10th position, that goes all the way down to the end of the still running 16 Pro cars, and there are tiny gaps there too. There is a massive battle underway here with 2 groups of GTE Pro cars knocking lumps out of each other.
Yeah, 10th to 16th are covered by 16 seconds, and that was the second group. Most of the field went behind one safety car. Another safety car pulled in front of the rest of the field, and so they were separated by a good minute and a half, and they remain separated by a minute and a half, because as we see at the front, as in the second group, there's barely hundreds between the cars in pace, Jamie, never mind whole tenths or significant amounts of time.
No, yeah, they're so close, it's unbelievable. Interesting then, we saw the 2 Toyotas, which are first and second. The 8 car came up behind the by Collis car, and normally around the right-hander of the Porsche curves, they would just nip round the outside.
That was close between the Ferrari and the Ford.
It's a 54.
Yeah, as the AM class car had a little weave offline and very nearly picked up the nose of the 68 car. That would have been a major incident with both the race-leading Toyotas right behind them. Has 7 got ahead of 8 again?
Yes.
Okay, now, for those who were also stuffing their face full of Riette and Musaka, how did 8 get ahead of 7? Because they were 35 seconds back.
Pits, safety car, 1 pitted slightly earlier, was it?
Yeah, well, 8's got held behind the first safety car and a long hold.
And then again.
A second time.
But how did they get in front of 7 then?
In the pits.
But if they got held by the safety car twice, that would have made the gap a minute.
No,
what did 7 do?
So what happened
7
was
the
first safety car, we had 26 seconds or so either end of the safety car train. By the time the 8 car rather got through, it was up to about 42. That compressed again, but the second safety car happened after the pit stop, so there was no gap between the cars. They didn't have traffic between the cars. That's when we went back to green flag running here.
Okay. So the second safety car closed the battle right up. Yeah, so all of those, whatever it was, 6 hours of hard work by the number 7 car to run away from the championship leaders got undone in as many minutes.
But here we are, coming on for 9 hours of running now, and 0.370 seconds separates the leading cars.
And the other thing was, we heard from Fernando Alonso after his quadruple stint, he corrected us, not triple, quadruple stint, that they had been constantly working on trying to get the balance and trying to get the top speed in the 8 car that they lacked in qualifying and that they lacked at the beginning of the race. And it seems right now they don't lack very much, Jamie.
Well, they did change the front nose, didn't they? I don't know if that made
Well, they made 2 changes.
No problem, continue.
They made 2 changes. They changed the nose, and that's how you change the aero setup. You set it up on a new nose, click the new nose on, then that didn't have working lights, so they must have gone back to the old nose, changed the setup on that to match, put it back on because its lights were working.
Yeah.
Lopez there seemed to be just confirming with the team that he had made the pass because the other car got held up, and that he wasn't doing anything that the team might have frowned upon. Yes, again, the engineer on the number 7 car is the voice of calm reason. He is so superb at that. So that seems to be okay. But again, number 8 wants to come back by. In the pits is 38, the Jackie Chan DC racing car. 37 rather. 38 is in. 37 has been and gone. Lopez leading from Nakajima, Sorokin and Elysian 3rd and 4th for SMP, Rebellion 5th and 6th. So Thomas Laurent, the car broke away from him under braking, wiped the nose off it just as he got into the SMP duo, right?
Okay, we are on the case. We are thinking about what to do with the situation. No worries.
What situation?
Yeah. Meanwhile, you might want to try driving more quickly.
I think they've put a team order out there.
Already, 6 hours in.
Yeah, I think so, because I also noticed earlier with the Bicolis car, Nakajima was in the lead, and he could have gone round the outside of the Porsche curves. They quite often do that. And he didn't. He just didn't even look. Yeah. He just stayed behind. But so did the 7.
Okay.
And then, yes, he's right. What Lopez is saying, he got some traffic, and I just had to run. So I didn't really mean to overtake him, but I did. And that radio message there slightly confirms that
completely agree.
Yeah.
Something going on.
6 hours in, they've already said as soon as the 8 gets in front, that's it, job done.
Well, let's wait and see. Meantime, before we get into that, and I think you're completely correct, by the way, Jamie, is Thomas Laurent is catching the SMP cars again, because what was about a minute and 20 seconds gap is now down to about 52. So Thomas has certainly got speed after that, well, really hefty shunt. Watch the lights on these GT cars getting to their dazzling finest. We're going to welcome back into the booth Peter Dumbrek. Peter, you've been watching what's been going on the last hour or two?
Bits and bobs, and yeah, I must admit, I saw the Rebellion accident and I thought, oh, something broke on the car, and I thought that's them going to be in the pits a long time, and now I've come to the box here, and they're in 5th place.
3:38 they were in that box, and most of that was under caution. They didn't lose a lap.
And that actually was perhaps what's going to end up, those sorts of breaks, that little bit of twist of fate, that's the sort of thing that might see you end up on the podium, whereas if it had gone the other way, might not. So, but it's a lot, long way before we start counting those chickens.
Well, Rebellion Racing, 2 4th places overall and an overall podium in their history at this great race.
1st and 2nd in LMP2, 1 garage door apart. Senior Tech Alpine here. Andre Negrão stays in, that's the yellow helmet. And behind him, Roman Rusinov. Now, Roman's been in a long while. Looks like he stayed in, though.
No, I think that's, I'm just going to check that. He's not been in.
Is that Jaap van Uytert?
No, Jaap was with us just a little while ago. This is...
Well, in that case, it would be Jeff. But Roman took over from Jaap just after Jaap van Uytert had put the car into the lead. So it is Jeff. Jean-Eric Verne is back at the wheel of the G-Drive car.
It's a triple from Roman Rusinov.
Yeah. Including 1 extra pit stop because he had to come in, don't forget. So we, at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock tomorrow, when we're going, yeah, but they've already done their exit. No, they haven't. They had to do an extra stop because full course yellow was out and they needed fuel. So both the 26 G-Drive and the 36 Senior Tech Alpine car are quote, 1 stop ahead of the field, but they're not, because that was only for a 5-second fill. Then they had to come in again.
So it's now Jean-Eric Verne against Andre Negrão. So Negrão is going to be chased down, if at all possible. Alpine from Aarhus. Yep. Both Orica chassis, of course. Michelin from Dunlop. Then 3 more Oricas. Dunlop for Ho Pin Tung in the 38 Jackie Chan DC racing car. Then Ant Davidson in the Dragon Speed car on the Michelins. And then Ricky Taylor in the 2nd Jackie Chan DC racing car on the 37, again on the Dunlop.
Now Ricky Taylor in the pit lane. That car and the 22 United car, both with penalties. So United Autosports 22, Felipe Albuquerque in the car, ahead of Jonathan Hershey for Graf, and Alex Brundle in the 32 United car. IDEX Sports Paul-Luc Chatin in 9th place, and 10th is TDS's Mathieu Vagevière. So the fastest cars in qualifying are outside the top half dozen in LMP2.
But remember, it's a 24-hour race. The gaps between the competitive cars are always massively long. So 1st to 2nd is 0.545 of a second. Yep. 3rd to 4th is 0.969 of a second. And if we want to go that down towards the classes, the biggest gap between the top 8 cars in class is 4 seconds. The smallest is under a second. It's much the same in LMP2 as well. And then you get down into the GTM class, the final class running in terms of the overall order. And again there, well, we've got larger gaps actually in GTM, and that the safety cars have been rather less kind, I'm afraid, there. It certainly is the case that Jerome Bleekemolen has got a kind of Porsche 2018-like boost from that, but the Wins Ford at the moment sitting, as it is, very pretty.
Yeah. The one thing about the AM class is that you get such a large mixture of driving abilities as well. In the other classes, maybe not quite so big, so of course the AM class you're going to have at least one bronze driver in there, and sometimes a bronze driver really isn't a bronze driver. Sometimes he's more like a silver driver, and then there'll be other drivers who really are bronze drivers. So speed-wise, they can be very different, and I think you're in Bleekemolen there, who is no stranger to 24-hour races. He seems to be in one every other week. He's leading that class and with the Ford. So great job from those guys bringing that here for the first time. Keating Motorsports.
There are two laws in endurance racing internationally. One is that an AF Corsa Ferrari must be on an entry list everywhere. The other is Jerome Bleekemolen must be on the entry list. So the ideal coming together of those things is Jerome Bleekemolen in an AF Corsa Ferrari.
That's peak entry list right there. Here are the two SMP racing cars, and these cars, a massive gap opening up between them. Has got from 0.65 to 0.93 of a second now. In fact, more than that, 0.99 of a second. They're very nearly a whole second apart after 6.5 hours.
Significant moment just noticed on timing screen 2, and it happened just before my eyes, and that is going to be the first official retirement. Corvette Racing's entry has been greyed out for the number 64. Not a surprise. We heard from Doug Feehan saying that he thought that would be the case, but the 64, I'm afraid, will get the market pen of doom.
With that damage, I'm afraid, there was never really, even when we saw it hard up against the wall in the Porsche curves, from that moment onwards, there was never any realistic chance it was going to get back in the race. I did see a big tyre trolley with 8 mechanics coming back down the hill into the paddock. They'd obviously been out, had a good look at it, and went, no, mate. And the problem is, if you spend hours and hours and hours on it, it's going to finish so far out of any contention that it's just redundant, and you're just wearing out men and machinery, and particularly taking potentially time away from the other car that might have a chance of winning this race outright. So it is the unfortunate swing of fate.
Look, if you're a fan of big, pointy, loud things, coloured yellow with a big V8 in the front, there's still one left. It's the 63 car. It's running very strongly indeed, as it has been from the very start, has led the race. Antonio Garcia at the moment 4.5 seconds off Kevin Estra's lead, with just the reigning outgoing world champion Alessandro Pierguidi between him and the place they want to be in this 20th anniversary for Corvette racing here at the Le Mans 24 Hours. Here's the battle for third position, the two SMP Racing cars, Sergei Sorokin and Mikhail Leshin, 17 from 11, a mighty 0.485 of a second between the pair of them.
And behind is Ant Davidson back in the 31 Dragon Speed car. That car has been firmly in the top 3 all afternoon. It slipped a fraction to 4th place behind Ho Pin Tung in the Jackie Chan DC Racing car, which is right there, all of, what, 2.5 seconds in front? Oh, no.
1.7.
Yeah, 1.7.
And that's coming through the second chicane is not going to help Ho Pin either. I think Ant Davidson has got his dander up. Two GT cars side by side, and the SMP car having to go almost off track to go by.
That's the WeatherTech Racing Ferrari and one of the GT Pro class Fords.
Getting to the zone where Anthony Davidson had that massive crash a few years ago.
Goodness, yes.
So I think he'll be taking it easy around those boys. He'll not make any rash moves.
But the way you always took it easy down on the run towards Indianapolis for the last 20 years. Yeah, I'm sure he won't.
Kaz Nakajima brings the brake car into pit lane for its latest stop. That immediately, of course, releases Pachito Lopez to power off into the distance for now at least.
Now, I wonder how much longer the number 7 car's stop is going to be when he comes in next lap. I wonder if maybe it needs some work.
Don't know. Airwolf is out again.
I would think it would probably need to be around 9 seconds slower.
Right.
I think there's probably about 9 seconds of work it's doing on the car.
A little bit cynical there, Martin.
Outrageous. Quick laps coming in the GT battles at the moment. In fact, fastest laps of the race so far for the lead car in GTE. Catanastre in the 92 Porsche, a 3:49.937.
And for the second car in the class, Alessandro Pierguidi. So the two of them are steaming each other around the circuit. They're a full, nearly 1 3/4 seconds ahead of the car in third place of Antonio Garcia.
8 car comes out, but is balked slightly on his run out of the pits by the Gulf Racing car.
Might need to be 10 or 11 seconds of work then on the number 7.
You think it'd be a particularly nasty spot on that headlamp?
Do you know what? Those screens are a devil to clean.
3:19.358 is the fastest lap for Thomas Laurent in the number 3 car, and he just took 6 seconds out of Michael Alishin on that last lap, albeit traffic for the S&P cars.
Can I just say, Thomas Laurent's last lap, 3:19.3. Race leader Jose Maria Lopez in the hybrid Toyota, 3:20.4 last time round.
I think they bolted that back together quite well, didn't they?
Yeah. Also, Lopez seems to be losing a little bit of pace just at the end of his stint. That's awkward.
Penalty for the number 29 car, meanwhile. And that is the Racing Team Netherlands car, isn't it? And that car will have to go to its pit, switch off the engine and restart by the driver.
And that is because, clearly, they must have had a push start away from the pit stop last time round. Gator van der Gaard in that car.
That car running 12th at the moment. That should be just enough to keep the car running in that position, but of course they will lose ground to René Binder in the Panis Barthez 23 car, which is their next target.
Sergei Sorokin is moving away quickly from teammate Michael Alishin. The number 17 SMP racing car has gone from 0.6 to 2.8 seconds away from the number 11.
Thomas Laurent puts in the fastest first sector of the race so far, 31.625 seconds. He is on a mission.
Meanwhile, Jean-Eric Verne is
on a mission.
Almost alongside Andre Negrão now. He's so close. I was going to say, he's sticking the nose of the Aurus halfway up the exhaust of the Alpine, but actually he went out to the side instead. This is the battle for the lead in LMP2. We did say earlier on that we're spending a lot of time watching GTs because there are so many cars in the lead battle. Well, this is just as tight as the battle for the GT Pro lead now. Well, while this continues, I might shout and interrupt Duncan, but let's hear from Elton Julian down in the Dragon Speed team.
Yeah, Martin, if you need to interrupt, please interrupt me as much as you want. Elton, can you please give us an update on the 10 car?
Well, we've fixed it again. Yeah, it's been the same all week. I mean, it's unfortunately not that surprising. I mean, we've struggled with this machine since we got it, and we've never really gotten on top of it. So we've tried, they've tried, everybody has tried, and for some reason they just can't get it going. It's really disappointing. I'm really proud of not only my partnership with Henrik Hedman, who stood by us this whole time. Nobody in their right mind would have stuck with us this long. But he understands what the team is about and why we chose to do what we did. And on paper, it was still the right thing to do. I mean, running a P1 car this season was one of the good things that could have happened, but unfortunately it didn't play out that way for us. And, you know, the Lara themselves can't get on top of it.
Not the greatest. A round of applause in the background, which is great to hear. The 31 car is going pretty well. No dramas with 31.
Yeah, on the flip side, we have an Orica that runs. Surprise, surprise. No, I mean, they're doing what they do. We have a chance not only to get a decent result on this championship, coming into the last race in third place, but a legitimate chance to win it. So you have to love the fight at the front of LMP2. Mega drivers, top teams, different strategies, different tires. It's really good fun, and we enjoy running at the front there.
It's a long walk to come down here, but it's worth it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you. Martin.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, halfway through that, we did get a little bit of radio traffic there. Did anybody manage to decipher what was going on?
It was with the 36 car, who's currently in a spirited battle for the LMP2 lead, with Jean-Eric Verne right up his Aurus at the moment.
And it did seem to me that he was intimating that he was on new tyres. Verne and perhaps Negrão is not on new tyres. Maybe they're stint old.
Well, both of them have just got into the cars, not just, but at the beginning of this stint. So it would be unusual that Negrão and Verne would have taken over a car without being given fresh rubber. Now, they may have different, well, they have different rubber to each other.
Yeah. One thing to watch, by the way, as Thomas Laurent, after a sparkling in-lap for his latest pit stop, there was a note on towing and scoring that his full course yellow process was under review. So there might be some bad news to come for the number 3 car that's been on a fantastic recovery drive, brought him back to within, what, 42, 43 seconds of the battling SMP cars, as up the inside goes Jean-Eric Verne, and this will be for the lead in LMP2.
Peter got a fantastic run, didn't he?
He did. He didn't even need to go to the outside. He just did him straight up the inside. We've seen so many overtaking manoeuvres round the outside by that Indianapolis corner, but he got such a good run out. Perhaps it is a difference in tyre. Maybe he's just got got the drive out of Mulsanne corner and was able to pick up the toe and then just drive by.
We were told to expect Michelin superiority in P2. The warmer it was, and Dunlop having more effect the cooler it was. Well, it has been a cool day. I've got my woolly pulley on, I've got my jacket ready. Jose Maria Lopez, I was about to ask Graham, the number 8 car came in last time round. Is the number 7 car working some fuel magic? But there he is on pit road, and Lopez is down and gone. That was not anything other than a standard fuel stop. He stays in the car. The tyres have not been changed, I don't think.
Well, it was a 62 seconds on pit lane for the number 8 car. Let's have a look at what happens with the 7 as he's released. It's 62 for the 7, the number 8 car.
He's in front still. Number 8 is catching fast.
64. So it's...
So remind us what happened, how early on in the race we had Mike Conway just literally driving away from the sister car, and then all of a sudden they came back together, I think, during a safety car. Right?
Safety car compressed it. Second safety car compressed it a little bit further. We were down to 26 seconds as the safety car was released. Back up to 42 by the time the second Toyota actually cleared traffic. Then we got the reversal through the pit stops that saw under the next safety car no cars between the two, so nose to tail.
Well, let's get down to the pit lane. We see an awful lot of different racing disciplines represented here at Le Mans, but in the pit road, an unexpected visitor from the world of NASCAR, Duncan Vincent.
Yeah, boogity. I tell you, I'm a bit excited about this. I got Kurt Busch standing next to me, and it doesn't get any cooler than that. But Kurt, welcome to Le Mans. First time here. What are you thinking of the atmosphere?
It's so impressive to see everything, the cars, the people, the team owners, the sponsors, but it comes from the heart. That's what's different about Le Mans, and it's a true tribute to what endurance racing's all about.
Is it something that you might like to dip your toe in at one point in your career?
I would love to. With the NASCAR side of things, I'm still trying to work on the contract side, but of course, this is a bucket list item, and I would love to be in this race, trying to sort out what's going on with the Ford GT program, but also hanging out with Jim Campbell and the Chevrolets with their Corvette. I mean, I'm kind of having my cake and eating it too. There's a lot of good things going on. I just got to find the right timing.
Are we going to see you staying up all night? A bit of help from the sponsor in the hat, maybe?
Oh yeah. There's this little cafe across the street, and they got Monster there, so I'm ready to rip. This is going to be fun. What are we? It's only 10 p.m. here. We're a long way to go, but I'm having fun.
Listen, thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely, thank you.